You think silence is nothing. You think when you stop talking to her, when you finally pull your energy back and disappear from that constant cycle, it just creates distance. That's it. You're gone, she notices or she doesn't, and life moves on. Sighs. But that is not what it feels like on her side. Not when it's real. Your silence is not empty. It is not neutral. It is not something she just shrugs off and forgets about. When it actually comes from a place of you being done, instead of you trying to get a reaction, it lands in a way that lingers. It creates tension. It creates questions. And more than anything, it removes something she thought she always had access to. Thoughtful. Let me explain this properly because this is where most men completely misunderstand female psychology. At the beginning, she does not take your silence seriously. She doesn't. And I know that sounds frustrating, but it's the truth. She has seen your patterns before. She has seen you get distant. She has seen you pull your energy back. She has seen you go quiet for a few days and then come back like nothing happened, maybe even more emotional than before, maybe even more invested. So when you go silent again, her first reaction is calm. She assumes it's temporary. She assumes you're just cooling off. She assumes that eventually you will come back the way you always have. I remember this one situation with a guy I used to talk to, and I'm being completely honest here. He would disappear every time things got slightly uncomfortable. If there was tension, if I pulled back even a little bit, he would go quiet. And every single time, without fail, he came back. He came back with long messages, explaining himself, trying to fix everything, telling me how much he cared. So after a while, I stopped reacting to it. When he went quiet, I didn't feel anything. I didn't even think about it. I just assumed, okay, give it a few days and he'll be back. That was my mindset. Calm, certain, unbothered. That is exactly how most women feel in the beginning. Your silence means nothing yet because it feels familiar. But then something changes. The silence lasts longer than usual. There is no message, no emotional return, no attempt to reconnect. Days pass, then more days. Then it stretches into something that no longer feels like a pattern she recognizes. And this is where the shift begins. Because now she can't rely on her past experience with you to predict what happens next. Now, she doesn't know. And when a woman doesn't know where she stands with you, that creates a very specific kind of tension. She might not show it immediately. She might still act normal. She might even tell herself it doesn't matter. But internally, something starts moving. She starts asking questions. Why hasn't he reached out? Is he actually done this time? Did he just move on that easily? Is there someone else? And here's the important part. Those questions don't get answered because you're not there to answer them. So her mind fills in the gaps. I had a friend who went through this and she kept saying, I don't care. I'm not even thinking about him. But I watched her check his profile almost every day. Not obsessively, not in a dramatic way, just enough to see if there was something new. And the reason wasn't that she was deeply attached. It was that she didn't understand the silence. It didn't match the version of him she had built in her mind. And that's what your silence does. It breaks the image she had of you. Because when you were always there, you were predictable. She knew how you felt. She knew how you would respond. She knew that no matter what happened, you would come back and try to fix things. That gave her a sense of emotional certainty. But when you go silent for real, that certainty disappears. And along with it, something else disappears too. Her emotional access to you. When you were constantly responding, constantly reacting, constantly explaining yourself, she could feel your emotions. She could sense how much you cared. She could see how her actions affected you. And even if she didn't think about it consciously, that gave her a level of control over the dynamic. But when you go silent, that control is gone. She can't read you the same way. She can't reach you the same way. She doesn't know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, or whether you even care anymore. And that lack of access is uncomfortable. I've experienced this myself. There was a guy who used to be very expressive with me, very present. I always knew how he felt. And then one day, that changed. He didn't disappear completely, but his energy shifted. He became calm, minimal, not reactive. And what stayed in my mind wasn't even the silence itself. It was the fact that I couldn't read him anymore. I didn't know where I stood. And that uncertainty stayed with me way longer than any argument ever could have. That's what your silence does when it's real. It removes clarity. Now here's where things get even more interesting. If your silence continues, and it's not just absence, but an actual shift in who you are, she will eventually feel that difference. And this is the part most men don't expect. Because it's not just about you not texting her, it's about how you feel when you're not texting her. If you're still emotionally attached, still waiting, still hoping she reaches out, that energy doesn't fully leave. And when you do interact again, she will feel it. She will feel that nothing has really changed. But if your silence is real, if you have actually redirected your focus, if you're not waiting for her anymore, that shows up in your behavior. You become calmer. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to manage her reactions. And that shift is loud. I remember running into someone after not speaking for a while, and the difference in him was immediate. He wasn't trying to impress me. He wasn't trying to get a reaction. He wasn't leaning into every little thing I said. He was just steady. And it caught me off guard. Not because he was doing anything dramatic, but because he wasn't doing what I expected anymore. That's what changes her perception of you. You go from being familiar and predictable to being something she can't quite figure out anymore. And humans are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand. Now let's talk about the moment she reaches out, because this is where everything either holds or collapses. And she often will reach out. Not always, but often. And when she does, it's usually not dramatic. It's not some big emotional confession. It's something small, casual, low investment. Hey, how have you been? I saw something that reminded me of you. It will feel almost normal, but it's not normal. It's a test. Not in a manipulative way, in a psychological way. She's trying to see if the version of you she used to have access to is still there. And this is where most men lose everything. Because the second they see her name pop up, they respond with excitement. They respond fast. They respond with that same emotional energy. And instantly, the silence loses its meaning. Because now she knows you didn't actually leave. You were just waiting. But if your silence is real, your response will feel different. It will be calm, it will be short, it will not carry that emotional urgency, and that difference tells her more than anything else ever could. It tells her that you have changed, and that's when your silence actually starts affecting her on a deeper level. Because now, it's not just that you're gone. It's that you're no longer the same person she had figured out, and that can create a mix of emotions: curiosity, regret, confusion. Sometimes even a quiet kind of respect, because now she's looking at you differently, not as someone she could always rely on to be there, but as someone she actually lost. And losing something always changes how we value it. I had another situation where a girl I knew didn't take a guy seriously at all when he was constantly available. She liked him, but she didn't respect him in that deeper way. He was just there. And when he finally pulled back and stayed gone, her entire perspective changed. She started talking about him differently, not because he was chasing her, but because he wasn't. She said something once that stuck with me. She said, "I didn't realize how much he actually added to my life until he wasn't in it anymore." And that's the part no one talks about. It's not always about making her miss you. It's about changing how she experiences your absence. But here's the truth you need to understand. Your silence is not powerful because of what it does to her. It's powerful because of what it does to you. It forces you to stop chasing. It forces you to stop over-investing. It forces you to sit with your own emotions instead of constantly reacting to hers. And through that, you build something real. Self-respect. Because the moment you stop needing her response to feel okay, you become different. Not just to her, to yourself. You stop operating from lack. You stop looking for validation. You stop trying to prove your worth, and that energy shift is what people respond to. So if you're thinking about silence, don't think of it as a move. Don't think of it as a way to get her back. Think of it as a decision to take your energy back, a decision to stop participating in a dynamic that wasn't serving you, a decision to build something for yourself instead of waiting to be chosen. And if she feels that, if she reacts to that, if she starts seeing you differently because of that, that's just a side effect. Because the real win is not that she notices. The real win is that you no longer need her to. That's Lexi's advice.